Hello and welcome back to another Gunpla review. Today we're taking a look at the MSM-07 Z'Gok from the original Mobile Suit Gundam. Personally, I'm actually a really big fan of this design, so I was pleasantly surprised by this kit given its age. But instead of talking about it, why don't we take a look? Starting with, as always, the articulation. Now, before we start with the articulation, I want to point out this is a kit from 1999. This kit is over 20 years old, and as we'll get into, some of this articulation is better than kits we're getting this year, so yeah, like I said, this really surprised me. Starting off with the head, there is none. That's pretty obvious, but unfortunately the eye doesn't move, and really that's the only complaint I have about the articulation. If this was released nowadays, honestly I'm not sure if they would have even included it then. The shaping of the top of the head isn't exactly kind to a mono eye. Maybe they could have gotten away with it with sort of a ball joint on a stick method, where it would like click down and sort of rotate around and be able to pivot up and down, but I don't know, even then I'm not sure it would have looked that good, but anyway, the shoulders are on a ball joint. They can get out to 90 degrees, and of course because the arms are symmetrical, you can rotate it and get up even slightly further. The first joint here is a ball joint. You don't get a ton of range, but it's enough. There's another joint here, which is a ball joint. These can of course rotate for slightly different positions, since there's a bit of a cut step down halfway across the segment. And there is a elbow, slightly low for an elbow, but it is there, which gets 50 degrees, let's say. However, because of the other ball joints in the arm, it can actually get a pretty decent range. The hands are on a swivel, however it's a polycap, so it is very tight. And the claws are all individually articulated, which is nice. Also, I will say, despite there being a bridge right here on the inside of the claw, the plastic they used is super easy to remove that, so you don't have to worry about that. Moving on to the waist, and this is genuinely impressive since this kit has better articulation in the torso than the recent Core Gundam. Ball joint up here, and look at that range all the way back, all the way forward, and side to side. There's also a ball joint here, however, that's purely a very limited rotation at the waist. However, that is still enough of a rotation to get some good posing. As for the legs, basically the same as the arms. Ball joints are a little bit loose, but it doesn't really matter. They're strong enough to hold a pose, except for the hips, but I just added a little bit of paint and now they're fine. So there is a ball joint in the hips, which can get out all the way. However, because of the shaping of the hip itself, yeah, it gets a little bit goofy if you try and get any sort of high kick out of this thing. Of course, you're probably not going to be trying to get any high kicks out of this thing. Same thing as the arms on the legs, two ball joints here, and a hinge at the knee which gets 90 degrees, which can be added onto by the ball joints, though not as much as the arm. I will say that, at least on mine, however, this does use polycaps, so mileage may vary there. The knees are really weak, like it can't hold up the weight of the mobile suit at all. If you put it down standing, it's fine, but yeah, be cautious about that. And the feet are on a single ball joint. However, there is a rock inside the foot itself, so you do get a little bit more out of that. And really, this is all the range you'd want to get out of the foot, since it just rubs up against the leg armor anyway. Now, getting into accessories, or rather in the Z'Gok's case, lack thereof, since this doesn't come with any accessories, which, to be fair, accurate, but I'm going to have to do something a bit different to pad out this review. I will at least show off the sticker sheet. You get the mono eye and also the center hexagon on the chest. I painted mine. Pretty good color matching if I do say so myself. Did mess up a little bit with the Gundam marker, so I had to repaint it, so it's a little bit spotty, but whatever. However, as I was saying, this doesn't have any accessories, so I'm going to go over the color inaccuracy, or rather what you're going to have to do to get this thing looking really nice. 1999 kit, remember. This thing is actually very color accurate, just a straight build. Really, I mean, including the sticker here, really the only thing you need to paint is the missiles on the top of the head, which I have done, though they came out a little bit darker than I wanted, so it just kind of blends into the eye. I did actually paint the black around the eye, just because the actual plastic on the runners is a little bit spotty and shiny, so I just did a light coat just to clean that up. The inside of the arms, this piece is black plastic in here. I painted over it, again, because it's a bit too shiny for my taste, but also around the edge of it, including there's a solid blue piece that fills in all these vents, including over that, because if you don't do that, it's really, really obvious that it's just a flat black panel in behind. So in order to get this looking nice like this, you're going to have to paint around the edge of the plastic. This is really the only panel line you need to worry about. The one down here isn't so bad, but up here I found that you cannot close that up anymore. Also, the ones on the legs are hidden perfectly in the seam lines and also around the bottom of the foot. However, on the arms, here and on the back. I assume if they made this now, they would have fitted in here somehow. But there are no seam lines on any of the joint pieces, and the one on the hips is almost non-existent, so not a big deal. The ones on the back thrusters aren't even that noticeable. You will also probably want to paint black around the inside of this, including the bottom of this midsection piece, because otherwise you can definitely see it where it's such a light blue. Thankfully, the bottoms of the feet are completely solid since it's a separate piece because the feet are so big. So there's no holes or inaccuracies here, which is really nice and kind of impressive. You almost wouldn't say this is a kit from 1999. This feels like a revive. It's probably why they won't release one, because this is genuinely just nice enough to not need it. Now, for a quick size comparison, it's exactly the right scale it needs to be, and there's no goofy, weird proportions since it already has goofy, weird proportions. This is basically the perfect Z'Gok. So, in conclusion, I cannot sing this thing high enough praises. This is such a good kit. It really genuinely impressed me. This is one of the best high grades I've gotten. It's such a surprise at how good it is. I cannot recommend picking this up enough, especially it's only like $10. I'm half tempted to build an army of these. I love the Z'Gok anyway, but where these are so cheap and so good, I can wholeheartedly recommend picking up either this or the Char Z'Gok, which I'll get around to reviewing eventually, because I do plan on getting it. But anyway, that's it for this review. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It helps with the algorithm. Subscribe for future reviews and watch my backlog. And as always, until next time, happy building.